Okay.
So we're going to talk about FMS. What is FMS? Functional Movement Screen. Everyone can memorize it. Okay. The first thing you have to memorize is the 7 tests that you have to do. Okay. And what are the 7 tests? It should be like bam 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 out of your mouth already. Number 1, active straight leg raise. What is it trying to achieve? It's trying to look at leg lifting, lumbar pelvic stability, looking at diaphragmatic breathing ability to stabilize there. That is all. What does it relate to functionally? It is the early developmental milestones where we are looking at a baby when they're first rolling and turning in bed. They're learning how to use rib stability, a little bit of hip movements. Okay, so a person with hamstring tightness that persistently complain of it will come to you like that. But when you do a FMS screening, you find that they don't have sufficient control through this and their lumbar pelvic is not stable. You already have a hint that this person, because they lack the stability here, they're using their hamstrings a lot, therefore it comes into an active tone of shortening. Which then comes down to, why are we teaching FMS? Number 1, in the personal trainer world, they know all this already, and if you don't know this, then you're worse than a personal trainer. It serves as a very nice communication between the person to say that this person lacks a movement pattern of moving like this. Therefore, we are training and rehabbing them towards this functional pattern. Okay? And then therefore, if a person struggles with deep squats and so forth, and then you have to understand why they struggle with the deep squat. There is a reason why we choose these 7 screens, because they help you explore in a very systematic way to figure out which body part can be potentially involved. If I were to say, you look at a person front squat and then you say there is a lower elbow here, a pelvic shifting and sitting down into it, well, guess what? This is only you are describing it. You're describing a function that's potentially impaired. But where is it coming from? And you take a shotgun and tembak and try to assume that it is coming from a weak serratus and a weak lats. Guess what? It's all prediction and you're lying to yourself. Why? Because what you need to first check is active straight leg raise. Here, can they do it equally on both sides with good control lumbar pelvic hip? If they cannot in a front squat position, this is weak, they lean into it, therefore this elbow goes down. No matter how hard you train here, it's not going to work. Okay, second movement they have to do is push-ups or planking type position or shoulder mobility. Why do we do that? Okay, it's because push-up positions. Is the push-up in 90 degrees here or slightly above here? Look into it. What is it trying to assess? It is trying to assess us at 3 months and beyond, whereby we're starting to learn scapulothoracic stability, lifting it so that we can start seeing the world. Without this, your scap thoracic don't link to each other, your pelvis start twisting and shifting, therefore you can have that problem. Only then you can tell me the front racking position, one lower, is because this particular push-up, the person has a twist, or the person has a scap winging on one side. Now you can tell me it is not due to active straight leg raise, the core here is well, good, but it's due to scap thoracic or cervical, because you can see them doing a bit of tilting like this. That's where you start to see. Okay. Now the front rack, you observe that push-up position, they look okay, but then what you start to see is thoracic mobility as shoulder mobility test is significantly different. And guess what? When you have one side different in external rotation more, one side external rotation less. But this side internal rotation less, this side internal rotation more. That tells you there's one area of problem, rib cage and thoracic. So your shoulder mobility test is going to start to see whether is it coming from there or not. Then therefore you can say when the person front rack, the thoracic is rotated one side, therefore it's causing shoulder mobility test loss, and therefore the arm is dropped on one side. So no matter how you optimize that serratus, it is still not gonna fucking The shoulder mobility has ER, IR and all that. So you need to see, okay, if both of them just end range a bit stiff on both sides, then you got shoulder external rotation mobility restriction, right? So as the person goes out a little bit higher function from planking position, they start to go into your inline lunges or hurdle step. Why do we do inline lunges? Is to see whether can you get this pelvic hip positioning or not, whether are you doing this or not, or whether are you rotating here or not when you're doing inline lunges. Okay, shoulder is to look here. It's not really a shoulder mobility test. If the person cannot hold it, it's okay to hold a little bit lower, but it's to give you a visual of how the trunk lean. How I relate this is, if the person, say we're still going into this front racking position, if a person on this hip is able to sit into it very nicely into this position, therefore in the other side you start to see a bit of hip shifting like that, then you might be looking at hip weakness or hip tightness on one side. But if the other side very good, then you might have a mobility problem around the pelvis. Pelvis might be a bit rotated. Therefore, when they do front racking, they sing it like this. Or like I'm just now sing it like this. Then inline lunges is supposed to pick it up. Okay? Then obviously you go into overhead squat. It's looking at thoracic strength and ability here to hold this. It's normal around the ankle, it's normal around the hips, because you have assessed it in the previous assessment. Hurdle step has already assessed it, right? So all those should make sense. Oh, I forgot hurdle step. So hurdle step is looking at the ability to stand, weight bear, pelvis, lifting up, go up, high over 90, touch, come back, and come back down. There's a reason for it. It's looking at sagittal plane, angle control, knee control, hip flexor strength, hip strength and ability going to go into this position and coming back. You will see that with the dowel. The dowel enhances your visual view of whether are they doing this or not, whether they're doing this or not. All those things are rotating to reach here, so that mimics the pelvis. Okay? That is what you're looking for. And you cannot tell me you are not doing FMS. It's almost the fundamental thing that you need to assess to improve a person's function. We have a 20-cent piece that we're treating, but the function is what the patient wanted to get back. You say gait, right? Walking. I take one step like this, hurdle steps. I have to go step like this, mid stance before I rotate through, right? Before I rotate into that mid stance, early weight bearing, right? This is then inline lunges, right? So if you don't relate all this together, then how will we know? And already I said, if the person take a stride here and they're weak through their core, not able to pull through here to put it down, they're just eccentrically lengthening their hamstring and stepping through their hamstrings. So guess what? No matter how you train this VM here, lengthen the eccentric hamstrings here, the hell is not going to work. Okay? It's a bit worrisome that if you just think FMS is only a form of 7 movements and yet you don't know the movements, I think you need to read more. I think you need to assess more. Because I may take shortcuts, I may do inline lunges, I may choose certain things, but I choose them because I know them. You don't jump your steps. You need to do the whole 7 so that you answer to me the person's functional impairment. We're not talking about structure. You don't talk about ligaments, meniscus, all those things, not in FMS. It's about the functional impairments. It's about, you can tell me the person's gait is problematic. You can describe however you want in the gait. We have descriptive from research articles and all that. But you don't know where to treat. You don't know whether it's coming for the trunk, whether it's a rib cage mobility. There's lots to FMS. So guys, don't look down on FMS. It's been around for more than 20 odd years. There is a reason why it is so popular. People are charging 8,000 plus per course, right? So by all means, you really need to understand. It's not to learn like later on teach you a Thompson technique, clap here, make people feel good. This is your bread and butter as a physio. You want personal trainer to take your job, by all means let them learn all this. Then eventually you lose. You'll only be the massage therapist. Okay?
Everyone